Hi, I'm Alex from Caring for Life and welcome to Live Chat, where we discuss bite-sized knowledge about suicide prevention and mental well-being. For those of you who are just too busy or want to learn more about mental health but don't want to sit in a more than 1 hour workshop, this is the channel for you. Subscribe now. Today, we'll be looking at some scenes in the mental health short film, What Would Mitch Do? And talk about them. Spoiler alert, if you are intending to watch this film, please pause this video. Come back after watching it. If you are interested to know more about the film or want to watch the full film, you can write to Mental Health Film Fest Singapore. The link is in the description below.
What are you doing, loser?
You're not supposed to be here.
Look at you. No way you're gonna do this alone. You are shaking and hyperventilating.
I was doing fine.
What are you doing anyways?
Nothing.
What are you up to?
I'm trying exposure therapy to get over someone.
Exposure therapy?
Pause. What is exposure therapy? To answer this question, I've decided to call Sam, who has a doctorate in psychology and a psychotherapist. Hey Sam, sorry to disturb you. What is exposure therapy?
Oh, okay. Exposure therapy is a therapeutic technique. It is used in psychology to generally treat anxiety disorders, phobias, PTSD, OCD, and similar conditions. So what it does is it actually involves exposing the individuals to the source of their fear or trauma, and it is exposed in a very controlled and gradual manner. The focus is to actually help the client confront and ultimately overcome their fears of whatever thoughts or distressing emotions they're feeling. And this exposure can take in different forms. For example, like they're imagining their feared situation, viewing images or videos related to the fear. So we also use something as virtual reality in today's world, but it can also be done in real exposure of life situations. But it's conducted very systematically. It starts with with less intense stimuli and then gradually exposing it. And it is often used in conjunction with other therapeutic techniques such as cognitive restructuring or changing your irrational thoughts about the fears that you have using some relaxation techniques. But it is usually administered by a trained professional so that the professional can expose the person into those situations who will tailor the treatment to their specific needs and circumstances. So that's what therapy is about.
What? You're just gonna look at it and leave? This is why it's gonna take 30 days, man. You okay? Hey.
The film ends with a big review. Andy is not just trying to get over someone, but a very good friend who has died of suicide.
And we could have been enjoying it again today.
Yeah.
Maybe it's selfish to us, but why did you go? Answer me! Why did you leave me? You know, all this time I've only been able to get through this with you by my side. But you're not even here. This whole past year since you left, every time when things get hard, I think, what would Mitch do? What would they say? That's how I've been surviving. But why? Why do I have to imagine you? Why can't you be here? Why did you leave? Why did you go?
After I watched this film, two questions pop up in my head. One, can a person use exposure therapy to overcome grief? And two, can you self-administer exposure therapy to overcome grief especially? So I decided to call Sam again. Hey Sam, sorry to disturb you. Can we use exposure therapy to overcome a loss from suicide?
Exposure therapy is not typically used as a primary treatment for grief. When you're saying suicide or loss, it's more of the grief resulting from the loss of their loved one. So grief is generally a very natural response. And there's a lot of other emotions, including sadness, anger, guilt. So exposure therapy is effective for treating, as I told you, anxieties. But however, grief therapy is more appropriate for individuals struggling with a loss. But exposure depends on what they are trying to achieve through that. So sometimes there are situations where they are trying to address certain fears. So then it can be some part of exposure therapy can be used. But generally, if it is about loss, I don't think exposure therapy is typically used for that. If you're addressing specific fears, then probably a part of it can be administered. But it is always good to use or take the help of professionals who guide you through that.
Right, but in this film, I'm watching Andy is doing exposure therapy by herself. Is that okay?
Well, I wouldn't recommend because when you're self-administering exposure therapy for grief or loss, it can be very challenging, and it is definitely not as effective as therapy guided by a trained health professional because grieving is very deeply personal and it can be very complex, and it often requires support and guidance. Although individuals can engage in activities that involve facing their grief or memories of their loved ones, it is good if they can approach with some caution and mindfulness because there's a lot of risk involved in that. So one of the risks can be that it may unconsciously intensify a lot of the pain and emotional stress. And if it becomes overwhelming, and if it is not approached gradually, then it can affect the person even much more deeper. So it's always good to have a guided therapist or take the guidance of a therapist to help them navigate their emotions because going through loss is not an easy one, and trying to administer it by themselves may not be very systematic or structured. So always having a guided professional will be a better way now. So I would definitely not recommend by themselves to do that because it involves a lot of emotions and it can become very overwhelming.
Thanks, Sam. Let's catch up again sometime.
30-day exposure therapy thing didn't work out so well, huh?
Maybe I'll try an addiction recovery method. More every day.
Good luck, Miss Andy. as long as you try.
However, what is recovery and how does it look like? Is it based on severity of the struggle? Or is it based on how happy or hopeful we feel? Or is it simply just based on how far you've progressed in life? Now, I would like to quote the following statement from a person with lived experience. Recovery is constantly taking 3 steps forward but 2 steps back. At least you have made that 1 additional step forward. Leave your comments below on what recovery looks like to you. If you like today's content, please like and subscribe to the channel. We will continue to discuss more bite-sized knowledge about suicide prevention and mental well-being. If you have things you would like us to talk about as well, please do not hesitate to PM us on Caring for Life social media page or write to us on livechat@caringforlifesg.org. Please continue to support us in our suicide prevention efforts. More information available in the description below. In the meantime, please remember to self-care so that you can care for others. Take care till I see you next time. Bye.